Right, so next thing that happened was, by them looking at the judgment call, they assumed, from the outside looking in, they assumed that they would teach the children that the reason those families didn't make it was because the men would cheat. You see what I'm saying? So once they twisted it around to a moral issue and made it look like those original men were immoral, then from the gate it looks like it was their fault that the conscious movement didn't work. But it worked. It worked so well that COINTELPRO had to come and dismantle it. That's how well it worked. Once they dismantled the conscious awareness of the original people in North America, then they systematically destroyed families using, first it was assassinations. First it was assassinating all the alpha and beta males, because you get the prime and his first lieutenant. Once you smash down, what happens is if a prime falls, a first lieutenant will jump right in the spot. But if you bang the first lieutenant and the prime, you pretty much can shut them down that way. So, wow, here goes another express waiting on me. Just sitting here waiting on me. I can't believe it's just here waiting when I get here. Oh, wait, it's too crowded. Nope. Let it go. So anyway, when they made the judgment call, so now it goes down to his 20 years later, and you have the children of those particular 5%ers as an individual group. Now, we're going to take this right down to individual, because what happened individually is, inside of the family structure, they still were basing their morals, anything that had anything to do with morality, and the morals of a nation or a people or a country. They make their judgment calls unconsciously on that, base it on that. So if you went to trial or whatever the case may be in America, and the jury themselves are going to believe that you're guilty or you're innocent based on the systemic teachings of the American school system. Because at start, they banging everybody in the head with the propaganda from starting in school, right? Isn't all the schools, public schools, are ran by city government, state government, eventually it gets into federal government. So it's still the big three, all right? So now, once they're the ones in control of the educational program, they always make it propagandized towards the, what do they call that word? Patriotic, and the patriot movement. Within the patriotic movement, within the structure of the public school system, is how they are propagandizing the original people. And now they have you making a judgment call on standards, all the different standards, whether it's beauty, whether it's height, weight, national origin, complexion, shade of skin, body structure, versus they use, athletic, all that, right? In the analysis and their status quo, the names that they assign to make files out of each category. Once they make the files out of each category, they put you in one of the files, all right? But those files only work, morning. The files only work when the people who are considered in the filing system participate. All right, now I'm going to show you what I mean by that. If you don't participate in their standard, whatever the standard may be, if it's a standard of success, standard of beauty, and on and on and on, etc., etc. If you don't participate in those particular standards of success, if you don't particularly like them, it's hard for you to not participate in it because it seems to be the truth, and that you just don't like it because of the way it's taught. Those standards, you would think that they are the truth, right? You see? So you would be saying, well, the European standards is just universal standards and it's the truth, but it's not. All right? It's not the truth. It's a straight up lie. Reminds me of that story I hear Ray Higgins tell his congregation. I'm going to make it short. There was the lie and the truth, and they went swimming. And the lie told truth, let me see how long you can hold your breath, or let me see how long it takes you to swim the lake underwater, or something like that, to get him to go underwater, or her underwater, whichever way it was. I don't remember what the gender was. Anyway, the truth went underwater and was swimming, holding his breath, and the lie jumped out the water, grabbed the truth's clothes, put them on, and ran down the street. And people said, that looks like the truth, when they saw the lie in truth's clothes. Then, eventually, the truth came out of the water from swimming to the other side and swam back and noticed he didn't have any clothes on, and the lie was gone. So he jumps out the water naked, running down the block, and the people saw him and they said, now that's the naked truth. Everybody laughed when he said that. And then he said, then the truth eventually caught up with the lie, and he started undressing him and taking back his clothes. So he said, so the moral of that story is how you have been programmed and lied to by the colonizer, who has imposed his standards of living on you. All right, now I'm going to show you what I mean by impose his standards. The first thing the colonizer does is eliminate the indigenous languages. Once you eliminate the indigenous language, you pretty much kill the culture, the creed. You get a nice little package there. So that was the start. Then the next thing that the colonizer did was eliminate the education process that the parents have on the children. And now he owns the children, because they might get some cultural manifestations from their parents, but the bulk of the reality of it is, if they're going to preschool, kindergarten, grade school, junior high, and then high school, he pretty much programmed your children. Even the parents will be in that, they would have gone through that same programming, and they will be programmed too. That's why you'll notice that the programming for private school and the programming for public school is totally different. And then the programming for private schools that are within a culture is even less programming. So it's not like people aren't already doing it. You don't see Jewish people sending their children to no public school. because they know it's full of propaganda and they're going to ruin their children. They let them do anything they want, but without doing anything you want. You know how the American society is. You can pretty much do anything you want to do. Just don't get caught if the state thinks it's against the law. And anything pretty much goes. It's like, do whatever. They don't have no real moral rules. Everything is based on evolution. So, survival of the fittest. So that means you can do whatever the fuck you want, son. Street language. You can do anything you want. And the higher up the scale of towards colonialism, the closer you move yourself there, the better your privileges are. But also it's a two scaler because it does things in dualism, because it's always looking at the shadier skin to make a determination of what type of privilege you get to have within that system. Even if you don't want to admit that it's there, it's part of the system. It's past. The people don't even have to consciously go again with it, because they've already been programmed to believe that standard is right and exact, and that they're just going against it because, I wouldn't even treat a dog that way. Like in the old days, the Europeans who like the prisoners of war camps, the people that were kept in a prisoner of war camp that they call slavery. They liked them, but they always said stuff like, we need to help them get free, but they can't really govern themselves or do nothing for themselves. They have to be taken care of. See, so that means that propaganda within the evolution, because within the evolution is the propaganda that there's Caucasoid, Negroid, Mongoloid. Those scientific connotations that they invented that really aren't part of the fauna, but they invented it. They make it like that's really a real standard, and so people really believe it subconsciously, and that's why they have jury nullification. When the police shoot you, they already have in their mind that the police probably was right and you was wrong. So you're never going to get a conviction that way. Once they program like that, it's a wrap. I'm out, man. Peace.